Yo guys, what is up? Here we are with another reading video, and today we are on chapter 6 of The Boys Who Challenged Hitler by Philip Hoos. So I hope you guys do have a Merry Christmas. I will actually post something, hopefully next weekend. Hopefully we'll be able to post all through Christmas. Oh, and I might do a few Christmas specials. I haven't figured those out yet, but I might read a few my favorite Christmas books. So comment down below if you have any favorite Christmas books that you'd like me to read, like picture books, not chapter books, picture books. Okay, and without any further ado, chapter 6 of The Boys Who Challenged Hitler by Philip Hoos. Chapter 6, To Arms. As winter snow began to melt in the spring of 1942, the Churchill Club expanded into a force with nearly 20 members, active and passive. Though they continued to seek out targets after school, they made more nighttime raids, mainly attacks on German vehicles, conducted while they were supposedly playing bridge. One of the club's most important new active members was Uffe Darkett, whom Egil had known from another school. When Egil was transferred to Cathedral School, he stayed in touch with Uffe and recommended him to the Churchill Club. At first glance, no one had taken Uffe for his saboteur, for he was always neatly dressed, respectful, and pleasant. His blond good looks and steady manners inspired calm and trust. But like the others, he was brave and dedicated, and angry. He was quickly accepted. Nudd and Jens Peterson took great pains to keep the Churchill Club secret from the rest of their family. The brothers knew that if their parents had any idea of what was going on, they would stop it. In some ways, it wasn't hard to keep a secret. Their parents, Edward and Margaret, were absorbed in their countless details of church work. The younger sister, Gertrude, was no more interested in Jens and Nudd's lives than they were in hers. Little brother Horgan and Olga were still in elementary school. It helped that Jens and Nudd's rooms, headquarters of the Churchill Club, were at the top of a staircase, isolated from the rest of the family's living quarters. During their meetings, the boys were careful to post a guard at Jens' door to make sure no one came up the stairs. All in all, the Peterson parents were delighted their sons had made new friends so quickly after their move in Aalborg. Likewise, most Cathedral School students still had no idea what was going on. Nudd Peterson would fight, a classmate later wrote. Soon he gathered from class a bunch of boys around him. They went mostly around the schoolyard as a close flock without the rest of us knowing why. Cathedral School faculty members continued to drill their students in preparation for midterm exams, unaware of the greater drama in which a few of their students were involved. Even as the club grew more proficient at stealing weapons, they continued to try to manufacture their own explosives. The Churchill Club's professor, Morgan Fuller, converted an elevated chamber on the monastery's second floor into a chemical laboratory. There, he mixed combustible materials with smuggled from Cathedral School's chemistry class. In the beginning, they fizzled out again and again, but with each failure, the professor felt he was getting closer. Nudd Peterson. Sometimes the whole second floor was thick with smoke, and we had to run gagging to throw open the upstairs window. The professor was trying to make small handmade bombs to drop into the motors of parked German cars. For a while, they just went psst, and we had to pry up the radar screens and smash the engines with ordinary tools. But the professor kept at it. He was a silent type who only gave a faint smile, and the rest of us were doubling over with laughter. We made up our operations as we went along, sometimes taking chances that we shouldn't have taken, but we had no formal command structure. We were too jealous of each other to name or elect a leader. We belittled each other. The professor reddened when Egil insisted his bombs didn't qualify him for full Churchill membership. He had to steal a gun like everybody else. Others piled on. Yeah, your bombs never work anyway. What a mastermind. The sarcasm was as thick as the monastery walls, but we had faith in each other, and our mission held us together. We were to install Norwegian conditions, the courage to resist in our country. Denmark would stand whether the government liked it or not. Several times a week we met in Jen's room, took roll, and then went out on our bikes. We divided the city into quadrants and scouted, sometimes in pairs and sometimes alone. We inspected the parked German vehicles and buzzed by the watchman offices, searching for German assets to destroy and weapons to steal. Sometimes we came up empty. Usually there was something. During one of these routine reconnaissance missions, I drifted past a German barrack and saw something that made my eyes nearly pop out of my head. It was almost too good to be true. I stood up from my bicycle seat and mashed down the pedals, tearing around town, rounding up the others and telling them to get back to the monastery at once. Within minutes, we were on Jen's couch, with borage tobacco glowing in our bowls, a chair A chair wedged against the door and all eyes on me. "So what's the big deal?" came the question. "Big deal is, I found a lovely German rifle dangling from a bedpost inside a barracks bedroom. The window is wide open. It's ours for the taking. Now's our chance." There was unanimous agreement. We had to have it. "Let's wait for night," someone said. But the rest of us knew we had to move in now, in broad daylight. The streets would be crowded, providing cover. The building was unguarded, or at least it had been an hour ago. At night there would be a German on that bed. Now there was only a rifle. No, we'd make a daylight strike. But if we were to be able to snatch the rifle, we had to conceal it as we transported it back to the monastery. A Danish boy could just be seen cheerfully pedaling down a worshipful Albrecht street with a German rifle slung over his shoulder. So we had to make one plan for capturing it and another for moving it. Our operation called for 3 boys in a raincoat. It was about 3 o'clock when Morgan Thompson and I reached the barracks. We circled the block a couple of times just to see how traffic was moving and to make sure there were no German guards posted. It was still clear. On the 3rd lap, Morgans let himself fall behind a little, while Borge and I advanced, with Borge carrying the coat. Close to the barracks, we ditched the bikes behind a tree. The barracks building was enclosed by a barbed wire fence, but the strands were widely separated and easy enough to step through. I held the fence open for Borge, then let myself in and walked slowly toward the window. The rifle was still there, dangling on a belt from the post of an empty bed. But in the next room, his back to us, was a German soldier, busy polishing his windows with a rag. He hadn't seen us, yet. We froze in place and waited for our hearts to calm down. Then we exchanged nods and I made my move. I slipped to the corner of the building, inched to the window, and reached inside for the rifle. I wrapped my hand around it, snatched it off the bedpost, and passed it to Borge. The weapon was almost as long as he, but Borge got it bundled inside the coat and began walking back. Not running, just an even stride. As I backed away, I could hear the German next door, still rattling the room with the fury of his window washing. In a flash, we were back over the fence, and Morgans, the rifle wrapped in the raincoat, on his bike. A postman and 2 women stood on the street staring at us as we took off. I met one of the women's eyes. They told me she had seen the whole thing. She appeared conflicted. Would they start yelling or hold their tongues? We didn't hang around to plead our case, but we didn't hear any kind of alarm behind us as we rode away. We took narrow streets back to the monastery. Again and again, Morgans had to stop to readjust the coat, because both ends of the rifle kept sticking out. When the monastery came in sight, we whistled our arrival, threw the bikes against the gate, and ran the bundle inside. We lowered the coat onto Jen's bed and unwrapped the prize. It was a beautiful rifle, the stock polished and barrel clean. Now I had a significant weapon, a long-range killing machine. We had to sort out what it meant, but not right now. The 3 of us were exhausted. We called a meeting for the following afternoon. It would be the most important yet. The Churchill Club had full attendance the next day. The meeting began with a detailed report of the rifle's liberation from the window washing Nazi to the witness. Everyone got to hold the weapon, looking down its barrel, feel the balanced weight of the deadly machine, and imagine a Nazi within its sights. All the boys shared its satisfaction that at least one good weapon had changed sides of the ledger. Then the discussion became more serious. Ned Peterson. We had done something different yesterday, more significant than anything we'd done yet. Yes, the pistol we'd stolen from the German car downtown was important, but a pistol only offers a few shots at close range. A rifle let us snipe, to attack or cover each other from long distance. We had reached a crossroads. The question before us was, should we continue along the same path, defacing and destroying German property, or should the main job of a Churchill Club now be to build a cache of weapons and train ourselves to use them against our German occupiers? To choose the latter would not mean that we would cease to burn their cars and buildings, but our new emphasis would be weapons. It was a spirited discussion, with everyone joining in except the professor, who rarely said anything. But in the end, we agreed that if our goal was to awaken Denmark, we must get weapons. And as our operations increased in scale and complexity, we would need firepower to cover each other. Finally, if the war turned in our favor and the British troops came to liberate us from Germany's grasp, wouldn't it be great to have weapons to share with the British troops on the day they're fighting for us alive to liberate us? With weapons, we would be able to fight side by side with our allies. In the end, we were of one heart. In the words of the French national anthem, "Arms, citizens, to arms, citizens. Weapons. We must get weapons." But where to find them? One kid proposed that if we kept riding around, other weapons would appear. "Look what happened for Nut," he said. Another countered with a story about a small boy who had found a dead bird. He buried the bird and, proud of himself, made a cemetery for more birds. Then he went out to find others. But he couldn't. Finding the first bird had been a one-time event, a stroke of happenstance and luck. The point was that if we were going to develop an arsenal of weapons, we couldn't rely on luck. We had to think strategically about where German weapons were concentrated and how to get them. We made a list of the most likely German gathering places where weapons might be lifted. There were always German officers in the pastry shops downtown. The train stations were good for ammunition boxes. The waterfront teemed with armed soldiers. And now the weather was warming and windows were likely to be open. A regular inspection of German barracks would be a must. We composed the next day's patrols and adjourned our meeting to go home and study for our midterm examinations. That is the end of Chapter 6. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, make sure to leave a big thumbs up, comment down below. Don't forget, hit the subscribe button. I'll see you guys in the next video.